Computer.
Hello and good evening to another edition of the Chalk and Cheese Show. Wednesday already, and it just flies by. Now, I'm not going to ramble on too much because we have a very, very special guest with us, joining us all the way from Miami, if I'm not mistaken, is Miss Lizzette Martinez. And Lizzette is an author, activist, and a survivor. Now, obviously, we'll get into the surviving bit a bit very, very soon. But as always, I am joined by my gorgeous Australian friend, Mr. Charcoal. How are you today, sir?
Pardon? What was that all about?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't even know where that come from. I have no
Never
idea.
actually been called gorgeous before, so that's a first. And
Gorgeous.
yeah, exactly, and especially coming from, someone that's big and muscly like yourself.
I'm
That's
very comfortable. I'm very comfortable.
very humbled. Yeah, so like Casper just mentioned, we are joined by someone very special tonight, and we have dedicated this whole show. Usually we have around about three guests on, and we power on through, but tonight we are just focusing on Lizzette. We are very happy and lucky to have her on the show, and she's here to share her experience
We have.
through, but from what happened in the past, and hopefully enlighten anyone out there and touch everyone out there. So yeah, Casper, I'm excited about tonight.
Yeah, me too. And I'm going to go straight into it, Lizette, because I have read parts of your book. Because obviously, outside of this show, I'm very, very busy.
Right.
So I have read parts of it. So, can we just kind of recap on the first moment that you actually come into contact with R. Kelly?
Well, I was just a 17-year-old girl who was at the mall with my friends and just window shopping and waiting for another one of our friends to get off work. And he saw me. I saw him and I said, "Oh, that's R. Kelly," to my girlfriend. And she was like, "Why would he be at the mall? That's not him." And now we know 20 some years later why he would go to malls to meet young girls. So when I said, "Oh no, that's him," I recognized him. He heard me and came back and gave me a big hug and kiss and just was like, very friendly and just said he was doing an album. And I said, "Oh, I'm a singer," and just mentioned just chit chatting type of thing. And then he said, "Okay, bye, I gotta go, whatever." And I was like, "Okay, bye," go back to my life. But then his bodyguard came back with a piece of paper and gave me his phone number. So this is what after so many years, this is what they were doing. Like we found out, that was their way. They would give every girl a piece of paper with his phone number on it. And that's why the feds say that it's the enterprise, because everyone was in on it that was working for him.
Well, yeah. Look, I've read a lot of your book.
Thank you.
Yeah, not a problem, not a problem. I'd say I got about halfway, and I, I'm an emotional person anyway. For those who watch the show, they'll probably know. And I, I couldn't read anymore. I got to a point where I was that gobsmacked. I know these situations happen out there, and hence the reason why, you're on the show. You've written the book, to explain your story, and hopefully not have anyone go through this. But yeah, some of the things that I read, it just went right into everything, and I was shocked. I literally, my jaw hit the floor on a number of times. Yes, you do hear things in media, and you do hear things on, radio, TV, and the news, about these types of cases, and they're everywhere, unfortunately. Um,
Mhm.
but your intro into the book, I found that straight away captivating, and it kind of made me want to read more because
Thank you.
one of the comments that stood out is that, um, you know, you because of all this, you were classed as a groupie or a super fan. and that was an excuse
Mhm.
for these types of things to happen. And I guess that that happens in normal society as well. You don't even have to be a groupie, and you can be groomed. And I say the word groomed loosely, and I'm really sorry, but
Mhm.
what I've read in your book, it's what happened.
Yeah.
You were groomed, weren't you?
I was groomed from a very, very young age. I was very naive. I was very young. People need to understand that when your mind is not fully developed, so you shouldn't even be dealing with situations like this. Like I couldn't deal. I wasn't supposed to be in that situation. I dealt with it as best as I could, but I was not a super fan of his. I was a fan of Mariah Carey, Aaliyah. I liked her. Back in the days, I liked other artists. I really wasn't a fan of his because I thought his music was way too sexual, and I wasn't allowed to listen to it in my house. So that's not what the case was. The case was that I wanted to be a singer, and my friends and my best friends saw that they mentioned to me he could probably help you. I mean, he's a super producer, so he already helped Aaliyah and many other artists, and you're very talented. Why don't you try? So that's basically what happened to me. People online, they love to blame us. They love to blame the survivors, and it's like you can't. I took so long to come out. Why? Because this is very painful to talk about. I tried to move on with my life, and I didn't bring charges on him back in the day because I just wanted to go on with my life. I was afraid of him, and it wasn't how it is now. There was no real support. He put a railroaded me, and I just didn't want to do it. But when you see other women stepping out and saying this happened to me, this happened to me, this happened to me, it gives you like strength to stand together.
Yeah, I mean, there's power in numbers at the end of the day, isn't it? But
Absolutely.
when you actually received R. Kelly's number, you in your book, you actually stated like, I'm not too bothered. You didn't even want to call him, did you?
No,
It was your friend. Let me see
no,
if her name right. Is it Michaela or Michelle?
Michelle.
Michelle,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
She actually said, right, if you don't, I will, type of thing, didn't she?
right,
So,
right.
and then I read obviously in your book when you did call him, like you kind of didn't know what to say to him, essentially. So that
No,
first initial phone call, because for everybody that is watching, if you haven't read Lizette's book, then please do read it. Trust me,
thank
what
you.
I read, it's very very good, and obviously you hear it from the horse's mouth, but that first initial phone call, a dinner was set up, wasn't it? If I'm not correct, how did that dinner
Hmm.
go? Because obviously that would have been like the first official public meeting that you would have been seen,
Yeah, it happened. It
right?
happened really quickly. The same day that I met him, when he set up a dinner for me, and my best friend Michelle was there, and Barry Hankerson was there, who was Aaliyah's uncle, and who was his manager, and a bunch of other people were there, guys. It was all guys all the time, and so we're sitting at the Outback Steakhouse, and he puts his hand on my leg, and that's when I felt like creeped out because I wasn't there for that, you know. And I just moved it aside. And then, I sang later on during down a few minutes after that happened. Then they wanted to hear me sing. Then he was like, "Oh, I want to hear you sing." So then I sang, and then we went back to the studio. But something very important is that my best friend asked him straight up, "Did you marry Aaliyah?" And he said, "No, don't believe everything you read. And this is her uncle who's sitting right here next to you." So we didn't believe that he did it.
Yeah,
You know,
but
it wasn't the media, it wasn't like how it is now. There was no way of really knowing.
yeah, because obviously watching the Surviving R. Kelly documentary, we find out that in fact he did marry Aaliyah. Aaliyah was 15 years old.
Yes,
He was 27 years old. Now,
right.
like obviously obviously I can't speak for Aaliyah, but maybe Aaliyah felt the same way that all the other girls actually felt, like this man is going to help me with my career, and he took advantage of Aaliyah. But and in the documentary you see that there was only one or two witnesses at the wedding, right? It was one of
Right.
his security
Demetrius,
guys. Yeah, he was
mhm,
one of his security guys
his
or
man.
something that, yeah, that actually signed the wedding off, right?
Mhm. Well,
But then if
he went to get the fake. Well, he got her a fake ID, and then she was able to get married. But
yeah,
Aaliyah probably did feel. Aaliyah was presented to him for him to help her.
Mm.
yeah,
That's what it was. And I don't really like to get into it too much because I didn't know her.
Mm.
But my heart breaks for her. I think about her a lot. And because it was the same time, it was the same time. It was right after I met him right after that marriage was annulled.
Yeah.
yeah, because obviously they wasn't married for too long because Aaliyah's parents actually found out, didn't they? And then Aaliyah's parents actually stepped in, and then it kind of went sideways, didn't it? And
Away, yeah. Then they weren't
exactly,
able to ever see each other again.
yeah, which probably was for the best, if
Right.
I'm honest,
I
because
mean, it makes me very sad because in the documentary, there's a girl named there's one of the backup dancers and singers of Aaliyah, Javante, who
yeah,
talks about all the things that really happened there and how he used to have orgies with little girls, and it just is a sick fucking story, and it should have never happened. It should have never happened. I wish that someone would have said, hey, once he married a 14-year-old and he was 27, something's wrong with this man. He needs help. Let's get involved here. I wish the label would have gotten involved because they knew exactly what was going on. Jive
yeah,
Records CEO came out and said after the documentary, he was quoted as saying, well, I knew he liked young girls, but what was I supposed to do? You're supposed to do something. Why didn't you
yeah,
stop him? Because he was making you billions of dollars, like
Yeah.
money over
yeah,
morals.
No,
exactly,
definitely, definitely. And just to go back on something that you mentioned, and and that you've mentioned in the book as well about the way he approached you for the first time. Reading that, it just seems like someone with that type of confidence to go up to someone and obviously trying to groom them in such a way. He's obviously had experience in that, and I wonder if there's obviously more people that haven't come forward because that they feel ashamed still, and there is probably more people. He was in the industry for for a very long time, and fame and went to his head obviously, but the grooming side of things, where what point did you honestly say that there's issues here? I know in the book you kind of relay back to this isn't right, but where did you say, look, enough's enough? Because obviously it turned into physical abuse after that, the hitting and things like that. So where did you actually say, stop, this is enough? And I know reading your book, you've actually done it a few times in the book.
I did it a few times.
Yeah, yeah.
No, I tried to walk away a few times. I did it, but he just wouldn't let it go. And, I got really sick from him. And that's when I kind of was like, I'm tired of this. I can't do it anymore. I'm going to die, or I'm going to kill myself, or he's going to kill me.
Yeah.
And it was like I said, it was a tumultuous, in the book, it's like an emotional roller coaster
It is.
because I was, I thought that was love.
Yeah.
I after a while, I thought this was love. I thought this was what it looks like and how it's supposed to be. And it's not. I mean, I'm a victim of his, and I was a very good girl. I was underage. Yes. People don't still, they still question that. It's like, yes, I was an underage kid. But more importantly, I was like a good kid, and I didn't really no kid deserves that. But I had a lot of dreams ahead of myself, and I had a lot of ambition, and he cut that short. That's the saddest part of the story for me, is that I was cut down short, and I shouldn't have had to deal with someone like, a pedophile like this.
Yeah, definitely.
Somebody should have done something.
and
And
that's exactly what he is. He is a pedophile. He's a child predator, and but with R. Kelly, the thing is, obviously he is an icon. Like obviously not no more, but he was one of the
To
biggest
some
icons.
people, he still is. To some,
Yeah,
to some,
yeah,
to some, they still, they love him. A lot of celebrities still, these rappers and these singers and shit, they really they still support him. They don't support us at all. How dare
yeah.
we take down this black man? That's what I get all the time.
Yeah, which is wrong because obviously he wouldn't be in the position he is in today if he hadn't done anything wrong. So I'd like hats off to all of you girls that have actually stepped up and actually said to R. Kelly, kind of almost like, "Fuck you! Like you're not getting away with it, and this is." This is wrong, and you're going to pay for what you get away with. But also in the documentary as well, it touched on. Now, obviously, this is no excuse for him at all, but it did touch on that he was actually molested as a child himself, and his younger brother was molested as well by a family member. So, do you think, obviously, it would play a massive part on like of how his life would pan out? But do you think he just thought that was normal to do to other people? Has he developed into adulthood?
I don't, sometimes I think about that and I'm like, there's other people that have been abused. I was talking to someone the other day who was molested, a guy, and he told me he found out who I was and we started talking and he told me he was abused and he doesn't go around abusing people. So I'm not sure what psychologically happened to him, Robert, and what causes why he does what he does. I always say this, he to me is very childlike. And a lot of people say that about him. He's like a child. And that's the thing. When I was 17, he's like very funny to be around. And it's like you're kicking it with one of your friends from school. So I don't know if his brain fully developed. I can't really answer that. I mean, I wish I would know. I wish I could know what, but he takes no accountability at all. And most of the women say, like, if he just apologized and got help, then we would probably feel a lot better. But the fact that he doesn't even take accountability, doesn't say sorry, doesn't get help, just blames everyone else for his problems.
The thing is, though, you just said it, all the girls said if he would have said sorry, it would have possibly made things better. But do you actually believe that? If he just said that word sorry, it would take away all the pain, all the hurt.
No, he would.
You think like that?
I don't think it would take away the pain, but it would show him someone taking accountability for things that they did. And yeah, we understand he was abused. Okay, we know that. It came out. We know it. He told me that too when I was with him. But I was abused. I don't abuse anyone, so I don't think it's not like a pass. Is what I'm trying to say. But if a lot of Jahanda said it, Kitty said it, I said it. If he would just stop and say, I fucked up. I've abused people. I made a mistake. I made mistakes. I hurt people. I shouldn't have hurt them. Take some accountability and go get help. A lot of us would feel better. But the fact that he doesn't do that, he doesn't say, he doesn't act, he just waits, he just goes to court and acts a fool in court, plays with, on the keyboard, like he's playing a keyboard. He doesn't care.
Yeah. And you touched on something just before as well. You mentioned, how about his age, and in your book, you were very detailed in your description about what things that he used to do, and to me, it's a bit like schizophrenia. It kind of it was up and down.
Yeah.
One instance, I read he wanted you to sleep in the closet with him.
Yeah. We would sleep in the closet.
And like, to me, that's not normal.
No, it's not. I didn't think it was either, but
Yeah.
he wanted to be in the closet, and then he would make me go with him in the closet and we would sleep there. And at first I thought like it's maybe the sun's coming in, but that's not normal. We had blinds.
Like, I wouldn't go to,
Yeah.
come on, let's have a sleepover. Let's jump in the closet. You know what I mean?
I mean, it kind of explains now that on his Chocolate Factory album, he had a whole fucking like 6-7 songs of "Trapped in the Closet." So it
Yeah,
would kind of make sense now. That's just a very weird thing, to be honest.
it's very strange.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
he sounds very, very strange. Like, obviously, loads of women around the world, they absolutely adore him. You just have to go onto YouTube, look at some concert footage. You see women groping his penis and trying to touch him and everything like that. It's just, and the thing is, he actually went on stage knowing what he has done, or knowing that he has a girl backstage waiting for him, for like after the show, so he can just kind of, I don't know, almost toy with a young girl, because he's emotionally got into their head. And a part of it is like, well, all of it is pretty much brainwashing. Did he ever kind of brainwash you in a sense, to
Yeah, I
kind of
was,
to get his own way with you?
of course, I was brainwashed to believe that he was gonna be everything to me, and he cared about me the most out of anyone in this world. And my parents would never understand, and my sister would never understand. And don't bring Michelle around because none of these people, they're all jealous of you. Like he just wanted to put me like in a little bubble with him, and that's it, and take everyone away from me. So of course I was brainwashed because I started to believe that shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. And I keep quoting your book because I find it so detailed and well written. You know,
Thank you.
do you have you written a book before? Because literally, it's like it just flows. So,
No, I wrote it. I have a co-writer, so we wrote it together.
yeah.
Um,
No, it's
but
been, um,
we worked hard on it. We worked like 2 years almost on it because I really
and it
wanted to
must have
tell
been.
the full story. I wanted to wait till trial
Mm,
to, I wanted to. I didn't jump. I didn't care. It's not about the money. I didn't care. I didn't jump every when the documentary was aired, and I already have a book to sell and this and that. Like it wasn't about that for me. This is a process. I was trying to heal, and the book helped me a lot. And I have a nonprofit, so a lot of the proceeds go to my nonprofit, trying to build a safe home for women
fantastic.
and children. And I also want to have, creative centers. So, like in my neighborhood back then, if there was a creative center that I could have gone to, I would have never, that would have helped me with my dreams and, the creative process. Then I wouldn't have met this guy. It wouldn't have happened like that.
Yeah.
Kids need to be protected in our communities.
No, definitely. And look, over here in the UK, there's vigilante groups now that I was going to say trapped, but I'm not going to say trap. But they target online predators, and online is. I find it's more
I heard about that.
vicious. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like you've got to be actually quite clever to. Well, I wouldn't say clever. It's just it's nonsense. Sorry. I'm going a little bit off track. But my question before that I was going to ask you, you've quoted something in the book about um, being with R. Kelly is not the same as being with Robert.
Hmm.
Tell me a little bit about that line, because you go on to say whichever I get at a given time, he still holds the cards and he knows it. So what was like I said before, it's like that schizophrenia, like that bipolar where
Well, it's like there's three personalities: Rob, R. Kelly, and Robert. So you never know which one you're gonna get. So R. Kelly is just larger than life, and he thinks that he can do anything, and he's invincible. And Robert is like the little boy. He's acts like a little boy. And then Rob he's just like out there, and he just like thinks he can do whatever he wants and does it.
Yep, yep. No, just before we go on, there's a few watching on Facebook, so massive respect to those people that are watching, and there's people watching from all over the world in Australia as well.
Thank you.
I know my brother jumped on, and he's in Oz, and it's very early over there. So thank you, everyone, for joining us on Facebook, and you joined with us, Chalk and Cheese guys, and also Lizzette Martinez. So Caspar, sorry, I keep jumping in, mate.
Yeah, no, that's fine. That's absolutely fine. Um, To be honest, I have so many questions I want to ask, but I, d- I'm not scared to ask them. It's just the fact that I don't want to offend you in any way or anything like that. But I will ask you this one, because he's out there, and if you've seen the Netflix documentary, then you would know anyway. But you said that in the documentary that you actually are you and R. Kelly. I don't even want to put it that way, but R. Kelly actually got you pregnant in so how was that as a young woman to accept?
I mean, I don't really like to talk about that. I just, it's just, I haven't really spoken about it, a lot in interviews because I don't really like to talk about it. But I will say this: it was a very difficult time for me. I was very young, and I was being pushed to have an abortion, and I don't believe in abortion. So, what happened to me, it's in the book. They can read it, and
Yeah.
you know,
No.
after that, things really changed between us.
Yeah, definitely. And so, sorry for Casper bringing that up. But and look, it's
That's okay.
I guess viewers kind of wanted to hear as well. But um, talk about your friend Michelle, because
Mhm.
she seems like that kind of, one of those friends that's always saying, "Come on, you should be doing that, or you should be doing that." Like that big sister kind of.
She's my big sister, and she's my best friend to
Are you
this
still
day.
friends
And
with her now?
she doesn't she never liked him. She didn't
Yeah.
like him at all.
What was she like? Because obviously she was, in the book you mentioned about her talking to you a lot. It's kind of that the excitement between you two, in knowing that it is R. Kelly that that's involved here. Um, but there's also that resentness, kind of let's just hang on, let's just sit back for a little bit. So for an actual 17-year-old, the age that you were, you had a pretty good head on your shoulders, back then,
Yeah,
and
I did.
yeah, and it just seems like, these type of people. Sorry, I'll label him as just a person now because I'll tell you why in a minute. Um, it, it, they've got a way, haven't they? They've got a way of just doing stuff and making you feel so secure and wanted, and show you the lights.
Yeah, they mind fuck you. So
Yeah, no,
that's
definitely.
they know how to play on your emotions. They know who's vulnerable, because I was very vulnerable because I my home life wasn't the best. So I didn't have a lot of people really watching, looking out for me. And they can spot that, when you're a vulnerable young girl who
Yeah.
doesn't have many people fighting for you, or, there for you. He knows who to choose. We all are similar. If you like, we're all similar, the girls, the lives, and what happened.
Yeah, exactly, and especially that he experienced the whole molesting thing himself. He's kind of like he kind of knows the process, doesn't he? He knows what kind of buttons to press because obviously it's happened to him, so he knows how to manipulate his own situation
Yes.
onto
Mhm.
somebody else. I'd like I'd in a way you just kind of like would hope like when he was a kid that he actually got help then or he spoke up then because his brother actually went to went to him because I don't even want to say his name now but it went
No,
to
you
him.
can. Yeah, you can
Yeah,
say his name.
but yeah, his brother actually went to him and because his brother said that he tested the waters with Robert. Like he went to Robert and explained what was going on, and he wanted to get Robert's reaction, um, and he was just kind of like, yeah, it's fine, and he just kind of didn't really say, oh yeah, we have to go tell mum or anything like that, and that's what kind of surprised me because his brother kind of went on his brother's reaction whether to speak out or not. So maybe if he did speak out when he was a child, we wouldn't be talking about this right now.
Well, it's my understanding that the neighbor, Mr. Henry, did something to both of the brothers, and he was brought to press charges. She never did anything, and that is what stayed with him, is what I was told by his brother, that the mom never really protected them from that. She knew.
Yeah, because it was a family member that actually was doing
And
it all,
also his
right?
sister was the one that was molesting him. His sister was molesting him as well, and he didn't speak out. So I don't know. It's a sad story all around. Not even for even for him. I mean, I don't wish that on anyone. He had a hard life, but I still can't give him a pass.
Yeah.
Of course not. Of course not. And this brings me back to my point: is if his mother wasn't so bone idle and actually done something about it, we wouldn't be talking about this today. And that's the sad part about
Right.
it.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Yeah, and like I was going to say, that's the sad part about it, because if they did speak up, then maybe Robert wouldn't feel the need, or maybe not the need, but like he wouldn't actually think, oh yeah, this is normal, because if he grew up like that, he thinks that's normal, so that's his normal way of treating people. Um, but obviously when he was around other people, around his friends at parties, or around certain celebrities at parties or anything, how was he? Who was he? Was he R. Kelly, Robert, or Rob? And did anybody kind of have an inkling? Do you think what when you was
No,
at social
he's
gatherings?
R. Kelly when he's around. He's when he's in the studio, he's in performance mode. He works all night, doesn't work during the day. He works at night, sleeps during the day in closets. And then around his friends, he's real like happy. He likes to play basketball. Um, they like to go to McDonald's. They're like little kids. They were like little kids, honestly. They were like little kids. And that's what I said, that it was very easy for me to relate and hang out with them, because it was like hanging out with my friends from high school.
Yeah.
Um, but he'll snap though in a minute. Like he'll snap, and if you say something that he doesn't like it's in my book, what happened to me at the studio when I just tried to correct him because he doesn't read or write. So he was saying something that didn't make any sense, and I wanted to tell him instead of someone else having to tell him. And the people were so afraid in the room, no one would say anything because they're so afraid of him and flipping the fuck out like he would.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was actually going to say that when you was in the studio with him, you wasn't allowed to look at anybody either, was you? You
No,
had
even
you had
at the
to either
table, I had to stay with my head down,
head down, or just look at him. You wasn't
or
allowed to
just
speak
look
to
at him.
anybody.
Just look at him.
Yeah, and you wasn't allowed to speak to anybody. That's just crazy, isn't it? That's the controlling part about him, and that's how, and that makes him feel powerful, right? And
Yeah,
again,
I
it
think
all stems from his childhood, because he was
I think
powerless.
it's insecure. I think he was so insecure. I don't think he was very confident. He puts on a show like he is, but he had a lot of insecurities. And, he was very jealous with other men. So if I laughed at somebody's joke or something, and he would take me outside and fix me up real good, because that's unacceptable in his world.
Okay, and you don't have to answer this question. You can tell me to piss off if you want. But can you just kind of elaborate on like fix you up? Like if you was to
Oh,
laugh at somebody's jokes, would he like verbally fix you up, or
verbally and physically. He was very mean. He could be very mean verbally. It was a lot of emotional abuse, but he did take me outside and hit me because I laughed at someone's joke. And I'm like, okay, I didn't know what to do. And then we went back in, and I was crying. So I tried to fix, my makeup, and I was just looking in the little makeup mirror, and he just berated me again, just like, what are you doing? Real women don't fix their makeup. I'm like, I'm a little kid. Like, I'm not you know, I don't, it's just, it was just terrible. And, I just wanted to say that I was like very thin, very, very thin, not a woman's body. I was very young and skinny. And
Mm.
I would think, he would choose someone who's like voluptuous and a woman, but no, there could be a million women and he'll choose the little kid in the corner.
Mm.
Hmm. Yeah, because again, is the controlling factor about it because
Because he can manipulate us.
Yeah, exactly.
exactly because you girls weren't allowed to actually converse with each other either, was you? So if there was more
No.
than one girl around in the studio, because in the studio weren't there like kind of like separate rooms or bedrooms where each girl
The thing
would
is
be situated?
here, I went to different studios here. We spent a lot of time at the Hit Factory. And so it's not his studio, but there were rooms and there were other girls sometimes at the hotel and you can't do it. I was not allowed to speak to anyone. He kept me very, very separate from everyone else. I
Okay,
was like segregated, like you don't talk to this girl. He would tell the people, don't talk to her.
mm-hmm.
Don't talk to
Yeah.
her.
So kind of just like on an average outing, for instance, like if you was to stay over in a hotel, including yourself, how many others would there be?
No, I stayed in my rooms by myself, but I would go downstairs sometimes in Chicago because I'd be there for like weeks and weeks, like living at hotels. And there would be like young girls in the lobby, like kind of like my age. And I'm like, oh, they must be here for him. And, because it was just obvious. And then one time his car was downstairs and I had seen Michael Jordan that night come to the lobby. He used to come to the hotel a lot too, the hotel Nico. And Robert's truck was downstairs. And then I called him, like, where are you? If you're not here with me, I'm sitting here alone. I'm like, what's going on here? Going to the studio? What are we gonna do? When he answered that phone and he said, I'm gonna whoop your ass when I go over there. You think you could never question him because then he would become the monster.
Yeah. Um. Also, in the book, you mentioned that you were being watched as well.
Right.
Like he was saying that he went out of town and to Chicago and places like that, and he wasn't out of town, and you kind of see his truck driving around. How did that feel? Because first of all, you were young, so that
Mm-hmm.
betrayal that you kind of get from that, like, did you feel scared? Because to me, if somebody lied to me and saying like my partner said she's going to be going away for the weekend and she's watching me from a car in the parking lot, I'd be like, fucking hell, what's going on here? Sorry, you're on mute.
It was weird. I didn't know what to think. I was like shocked when I saw that. And then for him to call my best friend and say, I saw her at the beach with her parents, it's like stalking me.
Yeah.
But then then I went to the house. I met him and he just like made it seem like, oh, I was just worried about you. Like, like just flipped it on me.
Mm.
I didn't go up to you because I don't know they're your parents, if they're gonna be upset. And I'm like, that's so weird. Like you stood on the damn thing for hours just watching me.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
scary, man. Like, fuck.
It's scary. I
And
was
not
like,
being
whoa,
noticed.
If my partner
Wasn't even noticed. He wasn't noticed. Being R. Kelly,
no,
you
he
would
wasn't
expect him
noticed. He had
to
his
be
glasses and his
noticed.
hat on.
It's like shit. Because at least if you would have heard like a bunch of girls screaming and running towards this one person,
No,
your
he
automatic
would go
reaction.
incognito. Yeah, he went incognito. Like he was very good at disguising himself.
Yeah. I'm kind of glad that you touched on your parents actually. When obviously you was around Robert and you was away from home for weeks and weeks and on end. How much contact I don't even want to say this, but how much contact did he allow you to have with your parents? How much, like, how often would you speak to them? Did any red lights kind of come on in their head to think, okay, she's only kind of 17, 18 now. Where is she? Kind of thing. Why is she
They
not
kind
home?
of, yeah, they were worried about me, but I was, excuse me. There were times where my mom would call the studio and I was never told that she called. So, there was a lot of contact that I didn't have because he was blocking it and not telling me. But my mother and I, we didn't have a good relationship then. I just wanted to be away from her. She was just, we was two women in the house and it was a tiny
Mhm.
ass studio. And it's in the book how we were living. It was not easy.
Mm.
And I just wanted to be away from them. I just hated my house. So we didn't have a good relationship.
Yeah.
So obviously, when the offer was put on the table, like to say that Robert would help you with your music career and stuff, as you just said, you didn't have a good relationship with your parents back then. But do you think rebellion on your part played kind of a little bit into the okay, I'm just gonna go for it type of thing? Because as you say,
Probably. Yeah,
yeah,
I think so. I think I was a bit rebellious, and I wanted to do what I wanted to do. But I really wanted to make it. Like I had a lot of dreams, and I execute. Like I would want to do something, and then I would learn it and do it. Like I was that type of kid.
yeah,
So I had, already experienced being in the studio. I had already been in a group when I met him. I had already sang with Tito Puente Jr., whose father is a legend, and in Latin jazz. And I had already been performing in school. I was supposed to be. I got accepted to be in Dreamgirls in high school
Yeah,
as
wow.
one of the singers, and he was not supportive of that at all. Like he was like, I don't want you doing that. You need to like come. You need to just wait for me to get my label and put you on. Like he was bullshitting me. But he didn't want
hmm
me to do anything else. And he would say, I don't like women in the industry. I don't date women in the industry. I'm like, this is a narcissist. Like now that I think about it, it's
Yeah.
so sick.
Yeah,
yeah.
definitely.
And how did it play out? Obviously, when you was with him and you was still attending school, did he have somebody watch you, like while she was at school, to kind of keep a close eye on you to see
Yeah, I
what
would
you was
have somebody
doing?
pick me up and take me. But I stopped going to school, and I had really great grades throughout high school. And then when I met him, little by little, it started slipping
Yeah,
because he wanted to hang out all day and be at the pool. Like there were times where he was up during the day and he wanted to hang out, or we'd go shopping, or we'd go wherever we go to play video games. I'm telling you, he was like a little kid.
Mm.
yeah,
Go to Nike Town, like school wasn't a priority.
Yeah.
It just became like he was my world. I was brainwashed.
yeah.
That's
It's kind of strange. Sorry. It's kind of strange that you say that he was very kid-like, because the way that you're describing him at the moment, it kind of puts a picture in my head of MJ as well. It's kind of like loads of
Yeah,
similarities between himself and MJ. MJ was very childlike. He hung around with young children and whatever. Now obviously I can't compare them to be the same, because obviously they're two different people. It's just kind of like when you say that he acts like a young child, the first person that come into my mind was like MJ.
right.
Um,
Well, they were very good friends too. So
yeah, because in the documentary, R. Kelly actually produced one of MJ's biggest hits, right?
you are not alone.
Exactly. So I didn't know they were that tight. I obviously from the documentary I knew that they had worked together. So do you think they kind of is that the reason why they got on so well, because of their childlike behavior?
I think so. I think he probably found someone that related to him, or he could relate to. But
Yeah.
he adored Michael Jackson. He told me, I'm gonna be as big as Michael Jackson. Like when he wrote that song, You Are Not Alone, and he let me hear it, and he told me that when he wrote that song, he was thinking about me and our situation. And people Like, don't want to believe it. It's okay. You know what I mean? There's no reason for me to be lying about that shit. You know, like I was in the house, heard the demo, heard him singing it. He said what he said. And then I told him that it was a beautiful song, that I could see Michael singing that song. And his demo sounds just like Michael. So like
Yeah.
he just wanted to be him. Like he just wanted to be him. So
So did you ever get the chance to record with R. Kelly? Or was that just a
um
massive facade?
no, we wrote some stuff together. I would be in the studio with him all the time. But his thing was he was waiting to develop me as an artist once he got his label Rockland, which he did eventually get Rockland, but I had already left him. I didn't want anything to do with the industry.
Yeah.
He was super jealous with me. Like he just didn't want to see me fly. He didn't want to help me. He just wanted to abuse me.
You know, all the going back a couple of years now, he obviously appeared on, one of the shows. I don't know if it went live, but he was sat down with a presenter, and he made, the presenter got to a point where he was obviously touching on some sensitive issues, and R. Kelly broke down, and it was kind of widely publicized across all media outlets. How did you feel sitting back? Did you actually watch that? Sorry, I should have asked that question first.
Mhm.
And how did you feel seeing that as well, thinking that that person that's standing on there getting the spotlight, making people feel sorry for him? How did that feel?
Hold on 1 second.
Yeah.
Can you give me a second? Sorry.
Yeah, sure.
Hold on. I have an emergency here. Hold on a second. And then I'm going to answer that question.
Take your time.
Luna. Give me a minute.
Yeah.
Where is the Zoom? Okay. So, what was it like watching him on Gayle King?
Yeah.
Is the question?
Yeah.
So,
when it came out over here.
basically.
Go on.
Hmm?
Go on. No, I was just about to say when it was kind of showed over here, there was, in the media and on the news, it was just showing all the bits that were dramatical. Dramatical. I think I made up a word.
Yeah.
So how did you actually feel about that? Watching? Did you watch it, and how did you feel about that? Because to me, looking at it, you can sit on the fence and saying, wow, unless you're a really, really good actor, what was your thoughts on it?
Well, I just happened to stumble upon it. I was at a dinner at a hotel in Beverly Hills with a friend, and then I saw him on screen. Like they had my picture all over that interview, with the intro, and no one even called to say, oh, they're gonna do an interview and use you. Like they just didn't give a fuck. And so when I saw that interview, I saw it. I was like totally shocked. And I just felt like he knows time's up. Like he knew he wasn't going to get out of it anymore. So he just wanted to win sympathy with his fans and anyone else that would listen to him. He really broke down because he knew, like, I'm not going to get out of this shit. I'm not going to get out of it.
Yeah, he was fucked. Basically,
Yeah.
it was, the statistics don't lie. There was how many people that came forward in the end, and majority is always gonna win over, these type of people. That's quite disturbing. I just heard what you said about no one contacted you. that's how fucked up media is. You know what I mean? Like, to me, you should have
Right.
been the first person, and the other girls as well should have been the first people to be contacted, especially if they're going to put your name out there and your face. Man, that is fucked. That's got me wound up now. Who is this fucking media outlet? Because
It doesn't. It's all in the book. They can read about how they fucked us over. I can't keep going into it because I just get so angry and it
yeah,
brings me back to like PTSD. But they are fucked up. They're really fucked up.
And obviously, you just mentioned PTSD. And what are the kind of um, the, the effects 20 years on? How have you kind of dealt with it? Just because we know thousands and thousands of women and men go through the kind of similar situations that you have been through, whether it's high profile, low profile, it doesn't really matter really. It is a crime. How have you kind of dealt with it, and how would you give advice to people that maybe might stumble across this interview that are actually going through it now, maybe to kind of get out of a certain situation or just to seek advice?
Um, for me, it's just, I have PTSD. I get anxiety. I don't sleep sometimes. I bite my nails. Um, I hold my hands a lot when I talk about what happened. I start, it's just a lot of things that I deal with. I call them the side effects
mm,
of this. And then coming out was even worse than the abuse, I think, because we were literally like raped again on camera. Um, not no mental health specialist on set, nobody to help us deal with this. And you don't know the effects that it's going to have on someone after being so quiet about it, holding it in, and then boom, we're all over the world, and we're getting hated on and being called names and bullied online. It's really depressing.
yeah, no. Look, um, just to kind of give you a bit of an insight, DJ Casper and I, we're DJs. We've been DJing for quite a lot, and in the DJ community, there's been talk about, shall we play songs, shall we not play songs. And I DJ at weddings, and if I get a request to play Kelly song, I won't play it. So there is that support for you guys. It, especially I think especially around the DJ community. I don't know whether you touched on this
Yeah.
as well. It's it's like, you know this guy has been convicted for a reason for what he done. So what's the point of playing his songs anymore? What's the point of glorifying him? And Casper, I know you spoke about this in our previous shows about R. Kelly, and this was prior to us even, you know, thinking about having you on the show. We were like, no, that's fucked. We're just not going to play his songs.
Yeah.
We're not going to do
Well,
it.
I
Uh,
appreciate that. We appreciate you for that. We appreciate, anyone that is standing with us and mutes him. Because during those recordings, girls were being raped and molested and abused, and all
mhm.
kind of shit was going on. So you can't really separate the music from the man, because this all happened in studios.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I don't really get on people about it. It just, if I hear something, if it comes on, I turn it off. You know what I mean? I just don't want to hear it.
Yeah.
It just brings me back too many memories and bad memories. And I think he should be muted, and that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I personally refuse. I haven't played an R. Kelly song in probably 3 years now.
Yeah,
About 3 years.
thank you.
I refuse to play him just because of the type of person he is and what he has done. And he's a pedophile, he's a rapist, and
Yeah.
he's a narcissist. Who wants to glorify
Narcissist.
that?
Exactly.
And, like, who wants to glorify that? No, I haven't heard one of his songs on British radio or English radio in years since this whole story dropped. They don't play it. They don't play an R. Kelly song. If you say R. Kelly, is R. Kelly who? Almost in England
Yeah.
now. because DJ Charcoal said, in the DJ community, DJs are like, oh yeah, actually this R. Kelly song would sound great after this song, but nah, I'm not gonna play it.
Yeah.
I'd rather play an alternative. Do you know what I mean? And thinking about it now, obviously some of his biggest tracks, let's say Bump and Grind for instance, when you hear the intro of that song, like after knowing what he's done, you're like, fuck, you're actually telling your fans what you're doing, but
Hmm.
without actually directly saying this is actually happening. Do you know what I mean? Like, so
Right.
he's been telling
Right.
the story for
He's
years
telling on himself. He's
in
telling on
his music.
himself.
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it surprises me how
Well,
nobody
everything
touched him as well.
yeah, because everything that he writes or like he records is based off of real life. There is no song that's not based on something that happened to him. Like, and everything is never written down. The lyrics just come off the head. So, like, he is a, a musical genius. When I'm not gonna take that away from him. But why I tell people mute him is because what he's done throughout his entire career is rape and ruin, destroy women of color's lives. And all women matter, but Hispanic and Black women are always forgotten and not protected. And everyone just let it happen. And it just needs to be stopped. No, we don't need to hear from him anymore. He's canceled.
No. And it was Casper, you and I were talking off air just before Lizette came on. And you look, I don't want to glorify what he's up to now. But Casper, you mentioned something that he was doing in prison at the moment. Do you want to kind of share that with the viewers, or
I mean, I wasn't going to, because he's people are still talking about him. Like, you can go
What
on
is he
these.
doing? He's singing. He's singing to people.
He's almost doing mini concerts in prison, and I actually saw a video on Facebook, literally an hour before we conducted this interview, because I wanted to see the different type of pages that were about, and he was actually singing to a girl down the phone because her dad was in the same prison as him,
Mm.
and I'm just thinking, fucking hell, if that was a normal person, would that be happening? It wouldn't be happening. Like, j- I, if he was in a prison, I can tell you now, if he was in a prison in England or on the British Isles, and he's a rapist and he's a paedophile, one, he'll be in a high secure prison block, because if he ever got let out of that prison block, he's done, regardless whether he's R.
Right.
Kelly or whether your next door neighbor. He's done. In the UK, we do not stand for that. Like, if you go to prison
That's
for murder,
amazing.
it, there's loads of murderers in there, but rapists and pedophiles, that's a totally different story. So he's kind of very lucky that he's over there and not over here, because it'll be a whole different. He wouldn't be singing. He wouldn't have vocal cords to sing if he was in a prison in the UK. So
Wow.
so in a way, he's very, very lucky that he's actually been incarcerated in America. And but even in
Yeah.
prison, like, it just seems like all the prison inmates now are kind of like, whoa, you're R. Kelly. You are R. Kelly.
you know,
Like,
you,
do you
you
know what I mean? Even in prison,
Yeah.
he's being glorified. Even though he's not being glorified on the outside world, in prison, he's like, he's still got his massive status.
you know,
And
Casper,
it's fucked up.
you've mentioned something just
Yeah.
then about. Sorry to jump in. That's just in America. This guy must have toured worldwide. What was
Oh, they love him in Africa. Big
what
time.
was happening in other countries? Do you know what I mean? Like, has anyone come forward from other countries, Lizette, that you know about?
Now that I know it, but I heard more people are coming forward. I heard that from someone that knows a lot. So I'm not sure. I think it's going to be in the Chicago case
Yeah, wow,
trial.
wow.
Yeah, I mean, it's yeah, that's a very good point.
He
He's
doesn't
obviously,
fly, so he doesn't fly. He doesn't fly. So whenever he would go away, he would go like on a ship or something.
Oh, wow.
but even so, like, it's a very good point. He's been all around the world. He's toured everywhere.
Yeah.
literally everywhere. How many
Right.
other young girls and women has he groomed in different countries? This is only America. We're only talking about America.
Yeah, we don't know. We don't
We
know.
don't know.
Have
It
no idea.
fuck. Well, once it's in his blood, it's in his blood. That's it. He's not going to stop. Whether he's in America, China, Africa, England, he's not going to
Right.
stop. He's not going to stop. And I just hope that if it has happened to other people in different countries, I hope they do come forward and they fucking
Do.
throw the book at him. And life is life. Like, send him to Texas, one of the only states in the US now that still warrant the death penalty and mean the death penalty
Yeah.
is death by lethal injection. That's what he needs. That's what he needs, because it just makes me really, really mad. The fact that in the past, yeah, I'll admit I was an R. Kelly fan. Who wasn't an R. Kelly fan? Who hasn't played R. Kelly songs? Who doesn't know the lyrics to near enough every R. Kelly song? But this whole situation, it just really, really annoys. It's annoying me, Lizette. So I have no idea how you
I know.
feel. Actually living in
I
that
try I
nightmare.
try to I try to live in peace, and I try not to think about it too much because I need my peace and I need to move on.
Yeah, definitely. And, move on you have. And, for someone to outpour in such detail into the book that you have done, and we've got some people that are actually making comments on Facebook as how do we get this book? How do we get a hand? So,
Awesome. They can get it on Amazon, and they can get it's on Audible too. Barnesandnoble.com has it.
perfect.
And that's it. They won't. It's a really good, well-written book. I mean, everyone seems to love it when they read it. It's a coming-of-age story, about this girl, me, who just kind of like tries to survive forever.
You know what? I'll let you in a little secret, and Casper and I were talking a little bit off air about this. I've read 3 books in my lifetime.
Yeah, really.
One was a kid's stories book, back when I was young. The next one was Pablo Escobar. I read it.
Oh,
Yeah, I read it. Well, wasn't it wasn't his book. It was his brother book. I forget his brother's name, and that was a good read. And yours is my 3rd book. So,
well, I'm really grateful.
yeah,
Thank you.
no, thank you, thank you. And once again, we are very thankful that you're on. So, what's next for you? What's upcoming?
I'm writing a screenplay about my life, and what's next for me? Just concentrating on building the safe home. The first one in Puerto Rico is where I want to do it. And 'cause I'm from Puerto Rico, my family's from Puerto Rico, and there's a huge problem with abuse of women there, domestic violence, um, and against the trans community. There's just so much hate going around, and it just needs to stop.
Yeah.
But the screenplay and just being, just actually, I'm trying to find love. I'm trying to find a nice guy because it gets lonely. But we go through a lot trying to date now for some of the girls that are survivors, because men don't really like to get involved in this. I don't know what it is, but it's been difficult.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose when you're attached to a story like this, unfortunately, it's always going to be with you, isn't it? So, but that,
Forever.
but we don't look at your past. We should look at the future now. And you are the person that you are today, and probably what's happened in your past has made you a stronger person
Right.
today than what you could have been if none of this ever happened to you. So, fellas. Lizette's on Instagram. She's on Facebook.
Right, man.
Just don't overwhelm her too much.
That's funny.
Are you able to come over to England? I'm sure you find a good Englishman over here.
I would like to. I've been to England before.
Oh, lovely.
But I went to the Lake District, and then I went to Scotland.
That's not far from
Oh,
me.
that's very posh. Lake District.
Yeah.
Very posh.
Not far from the
I
lake.
stayed at, what is it called?
Windermere.
The
Windermere?
Lake District, Cumbria. What's
Yeah,
the town?
Yeah, Cumbria.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Cumbria. Yeah.
My boyfriend was English, but we're not
Beautiful
together
place.
anymore.
Beautiful.
I like English guys.
It is beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty hard not to like us, to be honest. I don't know how you feel about the Australian guy, but yeah,
No.
the English charm, it kind of seems to work with American girls. It's not kind of like a secret. It's all in the movies and everything that you watch.
Yeah, like those
So
accents.
Yeah, definitely. And look, we like yours, and we are, and like I said, we are very thankful for you coming on the show. And
Thank you.
I don't know, Casper, have you got any more questions, or should we wrap it up? Because Lizette, you're a busy person.
she's a very busy
I'm
woman.
busy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You are. You're every time we kind of connect, and we want to still remain connected as well because we're well. I'm a fan now. I don't want to speak on Casper's behalf.
Oh,
Reading your book, like I
thank
said,
you.
is one
Thank you.
to sit down and have a read. And
So hopefully we'll have a movie soon, so then you can go watch
you
the
know what?
movie.
Look, don't forget us.
100%.
Don't forget us.
No, not at
Well,
all.
can we actually talk about the movie if you just have 5 more minutes? So, who would? Uh,
No, well, I don't want to talk too much about it, but I got to think about who's going to play me.
this
And
is what I was going to actually ask you. If you could
yeah,
have anyone to play you, who would it be?
uh,
It could be anyone.
I don't know.
J Lo, maybe.
Rosie Perez.
No, Jayla would have to be because she's older. Would have to play my mother.
Yeah.
You know what? The younger me, because they look exactly alike. It's so scary. My mother and Jayla look exactly alike, and she has the big old butt. Like,
Insured.
What about this girl from the Spider-Man movies?
oh, you know who I thought? Zendaya,
Yeah,
from the Spider-Man movie.
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Isn't she from
She plays
Zendaya?
what's her name? AJ. Is it AJ or something like that? I don't know. But she's a
I
very
don't
good
know.
actor.
Zendaya from Euphoria. That's who I said. Zendaya. Because I looked like that when I was young. We look similar.
Yeah, yeah. Well, Lizette, I have to say it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you.
It
And
was so nice meeting you guys. You guys are awesome. Thank you
yeah,
so much.
We appreciate it.
no, thank you. Trust me, we really appreciate you opening up to us and telling us just a little part of the story. I know you didn't give too much away because, yeah, let's get it. People go buy a
I just
book,
would like them to buy the book, and if they
of
can,
course. Yeah.
hand it off to someone else or someone maybe going through something, trying
Hmm.
to get out to escape abuse. It's not easy. You typically, maybe I think it's like the stats of 16 times when you try to leave. You come back, you go, you come back,
Yeah.
you go. So I don't put the pressure when someone tells me they're having a problem. I just offer my advice and time, like you can let them know. Anyone can reach out to me on Instagram or Facebook. I get a lot of messages from all over the world, young women wanting to know, what they should do. And I respond to everyone. So if there's anyone going through something, I'm more than happy to talk to you.
Thank you.
Also, and if any of our viewers do want kind of like a signed copy of the book, would that be available as well?
Yes. Well, they can just hit me up on the Instagram. I am Lizzette Martinez, and I have books here, and I'll just mail it to them if they're interested.
Brilliant.
Perfect.
Brilliant. Like I said, Lizette, it's been, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on the show. I
Yeah.
think you're very well spoken and you're very well put together, especially after
Thank you.
what you've been through. So you will have no problems finding a man. Trust me.
Oh, mate, don't make you're making her blush. You're making her blush.
You're making me blush. God.
No, look, you're making me blush now.
Oh, look, you put your foot in it now, mate. Look, it's just gone all red and everything.
Oh shit.
All
All right, guys. Well, you
Thank you
take
very much.
care.
You take
Thank you
care.
very much,
All the
Lizette.
best.
You take care.
God
Thank
bless
you.
you, and we'll stay connected.
God bless you guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
So, guys, that was Lizzette Martinez, live and direct, mate. She's really nice, right?
She is really nice. You know what? And like I said at the end, to finish it off, having someone like that has been through that type of experience and be well grounded and turn it around and turn it into a positive and helping other people and writing a book about it as well. Like that's got to be fucking hard. You know?
Yeah, like just to relive all the memories and everything like that. It must have been like an emotional roller coaster for her for sure.
No, exactly, exactly. You know what? I should have kind of touched on, the person that co-wrote it with her as well. So, unfortunately, I didn't mention that. But yeah, like you say, mate, it was just one of those things where it's going to affect you for your whole life, no doubt. And for someone to move on, so to speak, and like I said, turn it into a positive, that holds massive respect. And do you know
Yeah,
what? If there is anyone out there that is, suffering from this, or is, is now involved in this and thinking that it's okay, just reach out to someone, that's close to you that you can trust, and tell them, and you will, you'll be surprised that the situation that you're in is not right for you, and
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. I was just don't suffer in silence. There's always someone there to for, to be able to listen to you, whether that's your best friend, whether that's your neighbor, whoever it may be. There's going to be someone there, but don't suffer in silence because, like Lizette's story, 20 years later, and it's just getting touched upon now. Whether these girls were too scared to, whether they thought that they wouldn't be believed, it doesn't matter. Whether it's 1 year, 2 years, 3 years later, 20 years later, someone is always going to be there to listen, and just yeah, just don't suffer in silence. But I think Lizzette is very, very brave, along with all the other women who have gone through what they have gone through with R. Kelly. And I think the guys that have listened today or watched today on Facebook have kind of got like a better picture of Robert, and R. Kelly. So he just seems like three different people rolled into one, and for sure my my personal view. I won't get into it too much because it just gets me very, very angry.
yeah,
But yeah, my personal view is that I would never, ever, ever play another one of R. Kelly's songs ever. And I know some people might feel that that's a bit unfair on the other artists that are featured on tracks with him because it's not their fault. But in my opinion, if that was all going on in the studio,
exactly.
and while and they would have clocked on, they didn't say anything. There's no point in any of them artists that have ever collabed with R. Kelly now to come out and say, "Oh yeah, by the way, I saw this and I saw that." There's no point
Oh,
because because it's not going to make a difference. It's not going to make a blind bit of difference because these brave women that have gone through what they've gone through with R. Kelly, that's enough, in my opinion. That's enough. They don't need any more high-profile celebrities to jump on board to say anything because by them speaking out, R. Kelly is no longer about to do what he was doing. And the scary part is if he gets away with it,
yeah.
the scary part is there's other women out there. There's other young girls out there that I'm pretty sure
Oh,
he will try to abuse and rape
yeah.
and be just control them. Yeah, mate, I can't get into it too much because it
No,
will
no,
just get me riled up.
exactly. And do you know what? It's quite, well, I wouldn't say fitting, because that's the wrong word to use. But my brother jumped on today, and I've got fond memories. And correct me if I'm wrong. There was two tapes that, and my brother, he can correct me, and this is candid anyway. My brother, I think his first tape that he brought home was Prodigy. I can't remember the album. It's called Walking on the Moon or something like that. Space or something to do with that. Anyway, that was when Prodigy was huge. His second tape, cassette, I'm talking about, was R. Kelly.
Mm, yeah,
R. Kelly.
that's a bit of a different a different twist, isn't it, from the Prodigy to R. Kelly.
I know, but it's crazy because I absolutely loved him as an artist. as an artist until obviously this all kicked off, and then
Like Lizzette said, he's a musical genius. He's a genius. He is a great artist. No one can take that away from him. He is fantastic, and he's not only R. Kelly that's done shit. Look, we mentioned it. MJ, they were very close friends. R. Kelly and MJ very close friends because they had the same fucking mentality of what they were doing. Elvis Presley, he was the same. He done what R. Kelly done. It just wasn't publicized. So it's not only black men. So I don't want our viewers to feel that I'm only digging out black artists, because no, it's not the case. Elvis Presley done exactly the same shit. He married a underage girl, and he was in his late 20s as well. Back in the day, nobody fucking batted an eyelid about Elvis Presley. Do you know what I mean? So it's not only one certain race. It's everyone. If it's in you, it's in you. And unfortunately, people have to suffer on the back end of shit.
definitely, mate. Well, do you know what? It's funny how we're like still talking. Usually we talk like this off camera after a show because we're just like, oh shit, we've done another one. But look, I think it's time for us to kind of wrap things up. Hey, you know what? We're gonna finish early tonight, which is absolutely crazy.
Oh, I'll tell you what though, mate. It is 10 o'clock. It's kind of like bang on 10.
Oh man,
I know.
we said to Lizzette, you know, we'll probably be on for about an hour, and in the end, you know, it was just obviously engaging, and I found her story after reading her book as well, and for her to keep, you know, just bringing things up out of the blue. I was like, yeah, I know that. So everyone out there, if you're still watching or you're watching this on replay, please, it is a good read. Go out and grab a book. You know, help support these good causes that she's promoting as well through the book. Look, I am signing off tonight, and obviously I'll hand you over to I was going to say DJ Charcoal, DJ Casper. But yeah, it's been another really good show, and it's been a change because we've moved away a little bit from the unsigned artists. But we'll be back next week with more unsigned artists. And do you know what? We've got a massive artist joining us in a few weeks' time, and this guy has got a huge following, but we're not going to let out of the bag at the moment. But like I said, I am signing off. This is DJ Charcoal. It's Huru from the Guru, and I'm signing off.
Yeah. Once again, guys, thank you for everyone that has logged in tonight to hear our exclusive interview with Lizzette Martinez. If anybody feels free to want to message us regarding tonight's show, then please do find us on Instagram. It's the Chalk and Cheese Show, and you can also message us on Facebook as well. That's not an issue. If you guys have a story to tell, if anyone is out there that has a story to tell, and you want to air it out with the Chalk and Cheese Show, then please do get in contact. We will literally listen to anybody's story. But like DJ Charcoal said, we have a massive show coming up next week. We're straight back onto the unsigned artists, reviewing and interviewing these fantastic unsigned artists. Until next time, guys, if you haven't already followed us, then please do give us a like, follow, and share on Facebook and Instagram as well. And you can also visit our website. It's www.thechalkcheeseshow.com, where you can see this interview again, and you can also hear some of the unsigned artist tracks who we interview on every single show. Until next time, guys, thank you very much, and we will see you next Wednesday, same place, same time. Until then, guys, take care and have a great week, and have a great Mother's Day as well to all the mums that are watching. So, guys, until next week, see you later.